Hey, lovely people. It is Wednesday, the 25th, and we are here for Facebook Live on the topic of um, time blocking. And I'm going to wait for just a minute to see if people hop on with me. Oh, Tony Marie, thank you. Deborah Ayers Brown, thank you. Doreen just joined. Yay, how exciting. So ladies, since I gotcha, can you just put in the chat whether or not you can hear me? I'm always afraid that the tech gods, write a comment, not chat, there is no chat. But put in the comments that you can hear me or not. All right, Deborah, hello from Savannah, Georgia, love it. So can everybody hear me? I need some thumbs up or some hearts or some yeah in the comments so I know that I'm not just talking to myself. Anybody? Yes, we can. Good. Okay. Oh, and I can see comments. Isn't that lovely? So just so you know, Facebook has been very buggy lately. I don't know if any of you are doing Facebook ads or are doing any posting on Facebook for, you know, whatever, but it's been really buggy. I think they're doing a lot of upgrades. And so some of the things that worked last week aren't working this week, and, you know, it's been like that. So I'm going to hope that I can see all of the comments. And as always, what I'm going to do is I'm going to present to you guys and then address what's in the chat. Maybe I'll go back and forth. If I miss anybody, I'll come back after the video so that we can talk together, and I'll comment, and I can even DM you directly so we can continue the conversation. But anyway, why don't we get going? So I want to thank everybody for being here. Look at this. I see Doreen and Cindy and Darlene and Deborah all the way from Savannah. Where are you guys from? Let's hear. Doreen, I know you're from the South Bay. Cindy, where are you? Jesse just joined. Thank you, Jesse. So if you guys want to put in the chat, in the comments area where you're from, that'll be fun. I can take a look at how many people are from all over the world. So why don't we get going? These are typically, for those of you who are new to my Facebook Lives, these are typically 10 to 15 minute quick coaching sessions or training sessions that I do based on input that you guys have given me in the group for stuff that you want to learn more about or areas where you're having trouble. Remember when you joined the group, one of the questions that I asked you was, what are your three, Los Gatos, Angela Good, you're a local gal, great. In Dubai, Tony Marie, you're all the way from Dubai, awesome, glad you're here. So one of the three questions I asked you when you joined, and not everybody got the three questions, and I'm still trying to figure that out, but one of the three questions that I asked you is, give me one or three things that are the most problematic for you in your business, or what are your hot buttons right now? And my intention is to have these Facebook Lives be based on the feedback that you guys are giving me. Also, I mean, as we participate together in the group, I'll pick up on themes where you really want some more coaching, you really need some help, but I'm going to try to keep the content specific to what you're asking. So this is the most meaningful part. This is the group that's really meaningful for you. So let me just introduce myself. I don't know if all of you know me, or maybe you don't know me well, but I am Elise Tager. I'm a business coach for ambitious female entrepreneurs, and I'm the creator of the Solo to CEO program. And I primarily help women who are solopreneurs, and that is one-woman bands, go from that sort of hair on fire feeling of being a solopreneur to becoming the true CEO of their business. So they are really on top of building a company that's going to grow underneath them, and they're not doing it all. So the Solo to CEO program is about that. And surprisingly enough, those issues aren't just for solopreneurs. I know I've had a few clients, several clients, who had a team underneath them and still hadn't grappled with the idea of what being a CEO is all about. So I help those gals as well. Happy to jump in and help anybody who wants any kind of help on an ongoing basis. So let's get going though on the topic for today so I don't keep you too long. Okay, so The fastest way to overwhelm, actually, let me go back a second. So the reason I put this out there is that I had several people say to me, I'm just in overwhelm. You know, I sit down at my desk every day and I don't know where to start. My hair is on fire, right? There's just too much going on. I need a way to come to terms with this so I don't burn myself out. And that is common. So I just want to say, if that's you, you're in good company. So the fastest way to get out of overwhelm is this time blocking concept that I'm going to talk to you about. Time blocking, let me just give you a definition of what time blocking is. Time blocking is carving out time in your calendar such that it reflects and protects time blocks to do the things that you need to do to be in business. And I'll give you more detail on that in a minute. But this is you taking control of your calendar so that you're not at the effect of the agendas, the fire alarms, the emergencies that come in at you through email, through text, through voicemail on a daily basis. So the more you can be in control of your calendar, the more that you can start to manage your time so that it's working for you and you're not at the effect of those emergencies and those fire alarms. So this is what time blocking is all about. So first comment I want to make, I'm going to give you 3 points here. Time blocking per se has to work for you. It has to work with your life, right? So if you have young kids at home, the first thing you want to acknowledge is that you've got drop off and pick up with the kids, or you've got soccer practice after school, or you have piano lessons that the kids have to be brought to and taken home from. The reality is that, let's as an example, if you're doing drop off and pick up, the hours between, I don't know, I can't remember because it's been so long for me, but the hours between 7:45 and 8:15, you're in the car taking the kids and you're bringing them, and then you're coming home. So you can't put anything in that time. So you're going to block off that time. Same with the pickup, same with the soccer practice, right? You might be able to bring your laptop, but knowing full well that you're going to be either at soccer practice or dropping the kids off for soccer practice is going to dictate that you've got this period of time where you can't be doing other things. So that's the time blocking concept. You want to start with what your life presents to you and work around it. So you're not hysterical about the fact that, oh my God, it's 7:45 and I've got to take the kids to school, I forgot. And you're trying to take a client call. That is the last thing you want to have happen. The other thing that you want to consider first off is your own energy levels. You might be a night owl. You might do your best work after the kids go to bed or late at night. My husband's a complete night owl. He would reverse the daytime, nighttime schedule if he could. But you might be at your best at night. I'm a morning person, and I am rare to go at 6 o'clock in the morning. And parenthetically, by 3 o'clock, I'm kind of wiped out. You need to work with your own energy levels if this is going to work for you. So don't think about someone else's schedule. You need to plan so that you are at your peak when you're at your peak. So as an example, one of the things that I do is anything that makes me, where I have to be thinking, analytical, on top of my game, I do earlier in the day. Later in the day, listening to podcasts, reviewing content that I think is interesting to help me grow. I know that my energy levels later in the day are lower, so I have to plan around that. So this is number one. Make sure that you are blocking out your calendar such that it works for you. What do you have to get done in your personal life? Acknowledge that, block it in. What are your energy levels and your requirements for your own energy levels? So start there. Number two, you want to establish a weekly and a monthly schedule. So I can just hear people screaming, I can't because I've got clients calling me and texting me and what have you. This is the thing. You have to start by identifying periods of the day and week where you can do different things in the day and get as many of them done. So I'm going to lay out a bunch of things that you might have in your business that you plug into your own calendar. As you see, you're all in different businesses. Carolyn, you're here. Rothna, you're here. Krista Mullet just joined. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. I didn't hop over, but I'm so glad you're here. So let's get to some of the things that you want to think about blocking into your calendar. And again, the best thing you can do for yourself is really take a good look at the things that have to be done on a weekly basis and plug spots for them into your calendar. And some of the stuff might surprise you, but let me walk through some of the primary ones that may come up in your businesses. And again, as I look at everybody here on the call today, we're all in different businesses, different types of businesses. So some of this might apply to you, some of it won't, but let me just give you some examples. So on a weekly basis, you might have client work. You know, your deliverables have to be done for a client. That's something that you could say, okay, on Tuesday mornings from 10 to noon or 9 to noon and Thursday mornings from 9 to noon, I'm focused on client work, period. You might need more time than that, but you know that Friday in the afternoon, you're not still working on client work. Again, to the degree that you can structure this, the more likely you are to be able to get success with it. Client work is one thing you might want to block out. Client meetings, and that could be either in person or on Zoom or on Zoom. I typically do my meetings on Zoom. So that means that if someone comes to you and says, we need to have a meeting, or I'd like to talk to you about so-and-so, or you have ongoing client conversations, you need to make sure that in your calendar, you have also said, I take calls between the hours of such and such and such and such on particular days. So it might be Tuesdays and Thursdays are the days where you take client calls or prospect calls. But if you start managing your time that way, then the client needs to be able to adhere to what your availability is. And so that's another thing that you want to keep in mind. You're not available 24/7. And the earlier that you can set parameters and start to educate your clients and prospects to when you are available, the more likely they are going to come around and start to be able to ask for your attention during those time slots that you make available to them. So this I manage, and many of you manage through an online scheduling tool. I use Acuity Scheduling. There are a lot of others, Calendly, there are a lot of others out there. But when someone says, can I meet with you? Instead of saying, sure, when you're available, I'll get back to them with a link to my online calendar that is already set up to say, I'm available Tuesdays and Thursdays between 10 and 4. And they get to go online and pick a time within the time that I've already blocked out to meet with clients or take client calls. Some other ideas, team meetings. If you do have a team or if you do have people who are working with you, make sure that you have a consistent time on your calendar for when team meetings are going to happen. Make sure they do happen consistently and block that time out. Content creation. This is one of the ones that might surprise you. If you blog, if you do a podcast, if you, what else? You create lead magnets. If you do whatever you do for content creation, don't wait for the muse to hit. You know, one of the things that I say all the time to my coaching clients and to anybody who will listen is that the secret to success is success and frequency, right? So I'm going to do a Facebook Live every single week, whether you're here or not. I will just be here consistently with value so that you know to look for it on Wednesdays at noon. If you're doing a podcast, you want to make sure that you're consistent with when you produce a podcast episode. It might be weekly, it might be every other week, it might be once a month, but make sure that you are consistent so that people can rely on you. You're developing trust with your audience. Really, that's what's critical. So this stuff doesn't just come out of the blue, right? You've got to plan time to create that content. And content creation, for me, are two gigantic chunks on my calendar because I create a lot of content. If that's true for you, when are you going to do the content creation? When are you going to think about what you're going to put on that podcast? When are you going to block out the time to record the podcast? If you're blogging, when are you going to do, again, the preliminary thinking? When are you going to do the writing? When are you going to post it? It's not going to come out of thin air. You have to allocate the time. So that's another block. Again, depending upon your business, content creation is something you want to make sure is in your calendar. Here's one that will resonate with all of you. Email. email, calendar update, and social media management. How many of you, I want to see in the comments here, how many of you check your emails once an hour? Let me see what you have to say. So while I'm waiting for you guys to comment, one of the things that I find is that people, when they're bored or when they don't like what they're seeing or what they're doing, they check email, because it's just something to do to divert them and to see what's coming in and who they can talk to and what have you. That is such a distraction for you guys, for anybody. So one of the things you can block out on your calendar, which I highly recommend, is you check email at 8:30 in the morning, at 11:30 before you go to lunch, maybe at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then by the end of the day, 4 times, not every time you think of it. So that's an example of when you would be planning to check your email, such that you have blocked out the time to make it happen, and you're not in there all the time. How many, have you heard those statistics? I don't know what the statistics are, but Heidi, thank you for joining. I'm just catching up here. Great, thank you. How many of you heard those statistics where if you shift your attention from one thing to the next, there's a word for that which is escaping me right now, it takes you X number of minutes to get back into the flow. So if you were working on a podcast episode, as an example, and you get stuck and you're bored and you want to go back and you check your email, you're going to check the email, which is going to take you X amount of time, and then it's going to take you, 5 minutes, 10 minutes to get back into the flow of what you're doing. That is wasted time. So if you can block out the time when you are going to check your emails and be good about it, then that's going to help you stay focused and organized. Some other ideas for when you can block out, what you can block out on your calendar. Prospecting. If you're not prospecting, my dears, you're not going to grow your business. So there needs to be some point in your week where you are spending time on doing the prospecting. And there are tons of techniques for prospecting. We can talk about that in many episodes, but make sure that you have time in your week to make sure that you're prospecting, so that your business will grow and it isn't just where you are. You aren't just stuck with where you are right now. Lead prospect follow-up. So if you've done all that prospecting and you actually have leads come in, people who are interested in what you have to sell, you need some time to do some follow-up. So that has to be put into your schedule as well. One of my favorite ones too, CEO time. This is what the Solo to CEO program is all about, where I help you understand what a CEO actually does and how to start flipping your mindset from being the worker bee to being the CEO. And the first thing that I would ask you to do, and if you're one of my clients, it's the first thing I've asked you to do, is to set aside a block of time. It could be an hour on a Friday, it could be 3 hours at an afternoon, where you are functioning as the CEO. You're thinking about strategy. You're thinking about where your business is going to evolve. You're going to look at your key KPIs, your key performance indicators. You're going to think about team management in the future. You're stepping away from the business, so you're acting like a CEO. The earlier in your business, Ms. Solopreneur, that you can start acting like the CEO, the easier that transition is going to be for you, because you start getting into the groove of what it is. So that's another time block you might think about. Some more surprising ones. Yes, when I'm bored or procrastinating, Angela tells me that's when you check email. Yes, yes, yes. Deborah, not anymore. I used to do social media is what lures me in. Same thing, Deborah. When you hop into social media, I can be very guilty of this because a lot of my business revolves around social media. Once you hop onto Facebook, it's never a 3-minute thing, is it? It's a 5-minute, 15-minute, longer. It's a total time suck unless you're very disciplined about what you want to accomplish there. So yeah, just be aware that if you choose to participate in social media, and I hope you all are, structure that time and be clear about what your objectives are. So yeah, good. Debbie, Deborah, that was a great comment there. Couple of things that might surprise you. 3 things that might surprise you. Networking events. So we all need visibility in our business, right? It can come in lots of different flavors. Maybe you do public speaking. Maybe you're part of BNI. Maybe you do who knows what. But being visible and doing network is a part of our business. Keep an eye on that though. It is not going to help you if you're going to 4 networking events a week, and that's taking you away from your desk and your to-dos and your goals. The purpose of networking is to create visibility, to meet new people, to create engagements with people, deeper engagements and connections with people you already know, and maybe pick up a lead or two that will lead to business. But networking is the long game, right? Be careful about how much time you allocate to doing the networking. Be aware of it. So maybe you say to yourself, I know that I'm going to a WNA meeting every 3 weeks, and that should be on your calendar. Maybe you go to, what else? Another networking event or a group where you participate in, put that on your calendar. And then be aware that you only want to spend X amount of hours per week doing networking. It is another one that can be a time suck because it's getting in the car, driving to the venue, spending the time at the networking event, going home, processing those business cards and leads and following up with the people. It's a chunk of time. So be aware of the fact that you do need to be networking. Put it on your calendar. And it might slide around as you find new networking groups you want to be participating in, but don't be kidding yourself. It has to be put on your calendar so you know to allocate that time. This is another thing that some of my clients have recently said to me, which is, oh my God, I've been doing so much networking in the name of creating visibility in my community. I've been doing a ton of networking, and parenthetically, I'm not getting my job done. I'm not getting the work done. I'm not getting the growth that I want to be getting because I'm so busy planting seeds. There's got to be a balance, right? Planting seeds and then doing the work and doing the growth strategies that need to happen around those planted seeds. So keep an eye on that. Okay. So you events. Here's another thing that I'd love to have you put on your calendar is self-care. Self-care. So that might be you exercise every day or X number of days before work. You exercise from, I don't know, 7 to 8 every day, or you go for a walk from 6 to 7 every day. Whatever your form of self-care, it could be getting a mani-pedi once a week. It could be going for a massage. It could be getting, I don't know. There are so many ways that we can take care of ourselves. Put it on the calendar, because if you don't take care of yourself, you will burn out, Ms. Solopreneur or Ms. Entrepreneur. We do this a lot. Most of us are type A types, and we work a lot. And unless you take care of your energy levels, you will burn out. You'll start to hate your business. You'll start to get up in the morning and wondering why you ever did this. And protect yourself from that. Be kind to yourself. Give yourself some grace. So think about what it is that you want to do for self-care. And it doesn't have to be big, but map out that time, block out that time on your calendar every week, and don't touch it, right? It's probably going to be the first thing that you want to either delete or move around. Please don't, because taking care of your own energy is really, really important. What do you guys do for self-care? Just quickly put that in the comments. And there's a delay here, so I'm going to keep going, but I'd love to know what you do for self-care, because we all have different ways of taking care of ourselves. I do mani-pedis. I just feel lovely about that. And then I go for a walk 2, 3, 4, 5 days a week. I'm no marathoner, but it makes me feel good and it keeps me in good shape. So tell me what you guys do for self-care. Another thing to block out on your calendar, and this will really make you laugh, is nothing. You need white space in your week, right? People who tell me that they have back-to-back sessions of fill in the blank with no downtime in between. There are chiropractors who just book with nothing in between. That's a physical job. And people who are in the service industry of any kind, it's all output. And you need to be able to give yourself some breathing space between. So another thing that, Heidi, I see that you say self-care. I can't see what you say. So Cindy, you tell me you exercise 5 to 6 days a week. Fabulous. Deborah, walk and enjoy nature and reading to unwind. Me too. No binging? No binge watching on Netflix? A mani-pedi. How do you see a mani-pedi? Bubble baths. excellent. Swimming, excellent, good. These are all great ideas. And as I said before, don't put them on your calendar so that you're really doing them. But back to that wait time, if you are packing your schedule too tight, you will burn out. Another way that you can burn out is if you've had a business trip of some kind. You've gone to a conference, or you went out of the city to go to a client meeting or whatever it is. When you get back, don't think you're going to hit the ground running. Don't expect it of yourself. You're going to have jet lag. You're going to be overwhelmed by what's on your desk. You just need time to take it in slowly so that you can process everything. So you might want to ease into the week. So if you had a weekend event, don't plan anything for that Monday that you get back. Even though you're tempted to because you've been out of the office for a while, don't do that. Give yourself some white time so that you can readjust your energy levels and get back to doing what you want to do with the energy that it takes to be the solopreneur or the entrepreneur that you are. So those are some weekly ideas. Monthly, I want to encourage you to take a CEO big chunk. So a CEO time, you might do this once a week, but you really want to do it once a month because you want to take a look at how your business is doing. So it might be at the last day of every month, you carve out an afternoon or a 2-hour slot to really take a look at your KPIs. What was your goal versus what you accomplished? How many new people did you add to your mailing list? How many new people joined your Facebook group? How many new leads did you bring in this month? How many new customers did you have? What was your revenue? What are your expenses looking like? Are your expenses over what you budgeted for? This is the time where you sit down and you look at all those numbers, and you not only look at them, you evaluate them. And this is where you tweak, right? Did I go to too many networking events? Did I have time to intelligently, strategically follow up on the leads that I did get? Or did I just throw those business cards or connections onto my desk and didn't do anything with it? How many of you have actually gone to an event where you made some great connections and would love to do something to follow up, but by the time you got back to your desk, you once again were caught in the overwhelm of the to-do that has to get done on a daily basis, and the follow-up either didn't happen, or it didn't happen on a timely basis, or it didn't happen to the degree, the quality that you wanted to have happen. So don't let that happen. The CEO time, that monthly CEO time, yes to Netflix. Deborah, yes, I'm a Netflix person too, as far as binging for self-care. Don't let a month go by without a quality CEO time chunk. You're the CEO of your business. You need to recognize what's going on. You need to look at goals versus actuals. You need to do planning. You need to think strategically. And believe me, that can't happen while you're stuck in the day-to-day of what's going on. That takes a good time chunk. You can even do it out of the office. If you want to go to a Starbucks, or if you have an offsite that you can go to in some way that takes you out of your day-to-day, that will help you think like a CEO so you're not around the day-to-day. That might help you as well. So again, weekly and monthly. So let me address the third point here. This takes discipline. I will not kid you. Again, the easiest one to point to is that checking your email thing. You know, if you're in the habit of checking anytime you're bored or you're procrastinating, you want to start disciplining yourself such that you're not doing that. All of this takes discipline in the beginning. Take the time to block out what you're doing on a weekly calendar so that you are in control of when you are doing particular tasks. The following of it, so that's the easy part, really. I mean, it takes some thinking and it takes some blocking out on your calendar, but that's the easy part. The hard part is actually doing it and following it. So for those of you who have creative brains, where you're thinking of a million different things at one time, this is going to be harder for you. For those of you who are at the effect of the bright shiny syndrome thing, where you're always looking for new ideas, you always have new ideas, there are just so many irons in the fire, you're always thinking of 3 or 4 irons you could put in the fire, this is going to be harder for you. And so your focus needs to be not just on setting up that calendar blocking, but adhering to it. This is where a coach is very helpful, where I can be holding you accountable, which I do, and making sure that you're accomplishing what you said you were going to do. So you might find having some help with this is helpful for you, you creative types. So is this discipline? Yes, but in the long run, it's going to help you substantially. So another example, if you're used to, if a client calls and says, I want to talk to you, you need to have the strength to be able to say, I'm available in the following times, you know, or have your admin person do it, or have your calendar do it. You will be better off as an entrepreneur for having the ability to do that. You're going to ultimately train your clients that you're not available 24/7 or anytime that they choose to pick up the phone. And this is something that, you know, if you've got one of those problematic clients who thinks that you should jump when they snap your fingers, be careful. Maybe that's a client you don't want to have. But nonetheless, the more structure you can apply to this kind of emergency, the better off you're going to be. Where you can control it, control it. So another thing that I have done, which took time to just thinking in the setup, was to set up my online calendar such that I knew when I was taking client calls, I knew when I was taking prospect calls, I knew when I was going to set up coaching calls. All of those blocks were set up in Acuity so I could say, here, you want to see me? Here's a link. And it would only expose to them the number of slots in the day or the week where I am taking client or prospect calls, when I am doing coaching calls. So you're in charge from the get-go. So it does take discipline in the beginning. I will not kid you. But again, you're going to benefit from this in the long run. So yes, adhering. Angela, you're right. Adhering to this is the challenge. It really is. And again, I cannot kid you. And I cannot tell you that I'm perfect at this. I am not. And I have days where I wake up and the only thing I want to do is binge on Netflix, or I'm in my email way too much and I know better, but I just can't get focused. We all have those days where we're not focused, but what you're trying to do with this time blocking is to create a structure for yourself that you try to adhere to as best as you can. There'll be a day when the kids are sick. There'll be a day when you're sick. There'll be a day when your car breaks down. There are always going to be life events that keep you from being able to adhere to your calendar blocking. But the degree to which you can block it out in advance and try your best to adhere to it, that's going to help you. So that's the end of my thoughts on this. Couple more things. So again, if you have any questions or comments on anything I just presented, put them in the comments and let me get back to you. But as we're chatting, as I'm waiting for that, because I said there is a lag, let me tell you about a couple more things that I want to draw your attention to. This is a lot of information. I do have a Solo to CEO time blocking guide that you can download. And this has much more information. There's much more in-depth. It just goes to a more in-depth level about how to think about crafting your own time blocked calendar. So I'll put that, it's already in the comments above the video. And so go there, there's a link you can click to download it. And I'd like you encouraged to do that because it's going to get you more familiar with the time blocking method. And hopefully this is going to help you more. So that's going to be on the top. If you haven't already joined the Solo to Entrepreneur Facebook group, and I assume you have because y'all are here, but I also put these videos on YouTube and I share them elsewhere so that the people who are not on the Solopreneur to Entrepreneur group can join, and I put that link above. And then the last thing, if you want to know about how I can help you move from a solopreneur with your hair on fire to becoming a CEO, I would love to have a conversation with you. So if that interests you, send me a DM in Facebook. I'm very responsive to DM. If you want to email me, I'm at elise@elisetager.com. Just contact me and let's talk about what your needs are, how I might be able to help, what that might look like. You know, let's just explore that so you aren't stuck in the hair on fire aspect of your business. So, anything else? I don't see any other comments here. Deborah says, thank you so much. Thank you guys for attending today. It was so great to actually have an audience. If you're watching the replay also, please comment, please ask your questions. Once I've filed the video, I'll come back and look for comments and see if anybody still has a question. So let me know. I don't see any other comments or questions, you guys. It was so great to have you here. I will be here next Wednesday, same bat time, same bat channel, and I'll publish what I'll be talking about next week. If you have a topic you'd like me to cover, put that in the group, and I can't wait to put some attention to that. So there you go. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks so much for joining me, everybody. Happy Wednesday.